Talking hardball, the bull and the better. Talking hardball, part of betting weekly. Handicappers, they're all in the know.
Live on a sunny, beautiful Monday afternoon. I'm Adam the Bull. He's Chris Macero, professional handicapper. It is a Monday. We just came off the first full Sunday of NFL action. I hope you did well on that, Chris. I know you did well Friday. Believe you went 4-1 on the show on Friday. And so did you have a good football day yesterday, or did you not do anything football-wise?
I like to not discuss too much of the football. My two best bets of the day were the Ravens and the Dolphins. The Dolphins were an all-time disgrace and the all-time worst beat last night. I still can't believe what happened. You have Derrick Henry, very reliable, Hall of Fame running back, dominating the league for the last few years, and he fumbles. And then you have John Hardball, who decides not to go for it, 4th and 3. Lamar Jackson, when you know the defense is totally spent. I really can't believe what happened, but you see those games a few times a year in the NFL, and you just got to get over it. But that one stung. So for all the good we had on Friday, Friday show was I think it was 4-1, a couple of leans, maybe 7-2 overall with the leans. So exciting day on Friday, not so much yesterday. Very frustrating, especially going through the whole day, and then the end of that game.
Oh, that was brutal.
Just brutal.
Talk about other bad beats. We made the debut of a show called Betting Weekly: The Edge Friday at 5 p.m. It was me, Doug, and Dustin Fox doing NFL props and parlays only. Doug lost one of his props so he had the under on Matthew Stafford's yards, and Stafford went over on the last pass he threw in the game. Dustin had the over on Omarion Hampton's rushing yards Friday night, and he lost that by a half a yard. I had a big day. I went 4-1 with Aaron Jones, the over on Aaron Jones rushing yards tonight still pending. So, but man, listen, that's why they call it gambling, right? Because you get soul, just like the teams get soul-crushing defeats sometimes, like the Browns did yesterday. There are and the Ravens, soul-crushing defeats in gambling as well sometimes.
Yeah. Last night's game was soul-crushing. It took a lot out of me. I got some extra sleep. I slept in a little bit longer than usual today. I didn't want to face reality of what actually happened. But you know what? There's a full slate of baseball. There's Monday Night Football. I've already made a few wagers for next week's NFL. So you're just going to get back on the horse.
That's right. And a big day on baseball, so we'll go with that. Let's get to Betting Weekly Hardball here today. 11 games on the docket here on this Monday. Nothing in the afternoon, all evening action. So let's start with the marquee games, and that's the big matchup in the National League East, the Mets and the Phillies. The Phillies had swept the Mets in New York, was it 2 weeks ago? Something like that, week and a half ago or something. But since then, the Phillies have been playing great. They've won 7 of 10. They've increased their lead to 7 games. They're at home, but this is a 4-game series, Chris. If the Mets, it's a huge if, can sweep the 4-game series, they'd be within 3. I think that's their only hope at all to win the division, is they have to sweep the Phillies here. Obviously, that won't be easy. The first game of the series is tonight. Nolan McLean, the rookie, who's been great so far. Aaron Nola for Philadelphia, who has not been great so far. That game's at 6:45 Eastern in Philly, and you've got a play you like in this one.
I'd be more worried if I was a Mets fan. I wouldn't be worried about winning the division. I'd be worried about getting swept in Philadelphia. Philly played so well at home, 45-27. Mets have finally got over 500 on the road, 38-37. So we'll see what happens in this game. I feel like it's a matchup. The McLean pitched very well against the Phillies on August 27th. So you're right, almost 2 weeks ago in the series. He had 8 shutout innings, but sometimes, they don't have a book on the guy. He gave up a few hits and a few runs last time out, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. So he's not, he was lights out, hadn't given up. He only had one earned run given up. Now he's given up 3 earned runs. His ERA has ticked up a little bit. The teams see him, they get a book on him. So second time around, I expect the Phillies, especially at home, to put some runs on the board tonight. As you mentioned, Nola has been, had a horrible year. It's not the same Aaron Nola, we've seen in the past. He's been terrible all season, 3-8, 6.78 ERA. His last 3 starts, 17 innings pitched, 15 hits, 12 earned runs to a tune of a 6.35 ERA. So I feel like there's a big sample size of the Mets hitters against Nola, 83 for 279. He's given up 16 home runs in his career versus this Mets lineup, 279 batting average. I like the over in this game. You figure the Phillies are going to get some runs at home no matter who they're facing, even though McLean's pitched well. But the fact that they've seen them so recently, I think that helps the Phillies bats. And I expect the Mets to score some runs against Nola. He hasn't been good against anyone. And like I mentioned, a lot of hitters in this lineup have gone deep against them. I like the over in this game. Perfect weather conditions, shouldn't play a factor, wind or anything, but I still like the over. Let's go over this game, Phillies and Mets.
Yeah, the over hit when they played in New York in 2 of the 3 games, the over hit. So I'm kind of with you on this one as well. I like the Phillies lineup against McLean. I don't love that Trey Turner's hurt, but yeah, Aaron Nola's a disaster. I mean, he's going to have to reinvent himself this offseason, kind of like, and we've seen this before with older pitchers. Justin Verlander did it. Clemens did it. CC Sabathia did it. His career was kind of tailing off, and then he bounced back for a few more years. So he's going to have to do that this offseason if he wants to, but right now it's not good what you're seeing from Aaron Nola. All right, let's get to another big game tonight. The best team in baseball, the Brewers. They have a chance to win their 90th game tonight. First team to win 90 games. Jose Quintana against Jacob Latz. Obviously, the Rangers have played very well. They had 1 bad series against Arizona. Otherwise, they played great for the last few weeks. Game and a half back of Seattle for the final wild card. They just took 2 or 3 with the Astros. Obviously, the Brewers are great, but it's in Texas. Brewers have the edge in the pitching matchup. But this is another game where you like the run total, except in the different direction.
Yeah, I kind of lean under in this game. Quintana has been really good on the road, 7-1 with a 2.57, in his away starts. And this Latz has been pretty solid too. He's only 5 starts, but at home, 2.76 ERA. Quintana against the Rangers hitters, 1 of 24 with a 0.42. So excellent start last time out against this Rangers lineup. The one thing that gives me pause, and that's why it's just a small lean to the under, is that Quintana, his last 2 starts, 10 innings pitched, 12 hits, 9 earned. So maybe he's tiring out. I looked up some of his stats. He's gone multiple times, way bigger innings than this in his career. I'm actually surprised he's been around in baseball this long. He broke in with the White Sox in 2012. So he's been around a long time. So It's not a question of I just don't know. I looked at his innings pitched this year. He's only at like 124. So it's not something that he should be tiring out, but just something to be cautious with. The last 2 starts hasn't been too great. As you mentioned, Milwaukee's hot, swept the Pirates on the road, and Pirates have been playing well at home. So Brewers are just kind of reestablishing themselves as the best team in baseball after a little bit of a rough patch. Winners of 3 in a row, play great on the road, 43-29, as you mentioned last week. The only team that's 10 games over 500 on the road. But Texas is, that's their bread and butter at home, 44-28. So no lean on the game. I just feel like it's a decent pitching matchup. Games tend to go under at that ballpark in Arlington. So what's just a small lean on under Milwaukee, Texas?
It's going to be interesting to keep it in terms of the Brewers going down the stretch here. They've played 144 games. So they've got 18 games left in 21 days. And they've pretty much locked everything up. They have a 7.5 game lead over the Cubs in the division. They have a 5.5 game lead over the Phillies for the top seed in the National League. So they'll as long as they play decently, they'll probably clinch that fairly soon, setting them up. And then you wonder what they'll do with their pitching staff, how they'll handle the last few weeks. But for tonight, yeah, I'm with you on the under on this one. I don't expect a lot of runs scored in this game. All right, next game. The Reds and the Padres. The Reds just took a series from the Mets. and they're only tied with the Giants, 4 games back for that last wild card spot. You made a good point. Like, this is the Padres are not playing well. Now, neither are the Dodgers, but the Reds, who I kind of buried, if they have a good series against the Padres, and I know they're on the road, with the Mets playing in Philly, they got a chance to cut into that wild card. So they got a lot to play for right now. What are you taking in this game?
Yeah, them and the Giants. The Reds finally got 2 in a row. The Giants, were rolling. They had a big lead on Saturday. Well, not a big lead. They had a lead on Saturday, and they blew it against St. Louis, and then they lost another one yesterday. So both of these teams are 4 back of the Mets. Mets are at Philly. Philly's one of the best home teams in baseball. Tough pace to play. So, yeah, they could pick up ground quickly. This game, I'm a little bit of a quandary here. Cincinnati, I need them over the win total, 78.5, which should get there. And obviously, I need the Padres for the division. So can't have both. I'd probably root for the Padres here. Tough to trust Yu Darvish, although he's been a little bit better at home. But he seems to give up earned runs every single game. Lodolo, who we tried to back last week, was scratched through an illness. He's 8-7, 3.22, solid on the road, but only 5-5, but a 2.52 ERA. Couple opponents batting average situations, only 9 of 45 Padres hitting against Lodolo. That's a 200 clip. Darvish, 7 for 33, 212. So really tough game to figure here. Maybe, if Darvish can give you a decent outing, you maybe look to an under here. But I just can't trust Darvish. Every time I get involved in a Darvish game, one way or the other, he either pitches lights out of nowhere or he's given up 4 runs in the first inning. So I'm just going to steer clear of this game, try to root for the Padres because the Dodgers are up against Colorado for the next 3, and you figure they're at least going to get 2 out of 3, if not sweep. So it's going to be tough for the Padres to keep pace here, being only 1 game back of the Dodgers.
By the way, the Dodgers win total to beginning of the year, I believe, was 103.5. They're not coming close to that. I mean, it's possible they won't win 90.
Yeah, I was going to say 90 looks like a stretch right now, 79 at the moment. You do have the Rockies coming in, but then the schedule gets a little tougher. They get their, arch nemesis, the Giants, for I think 6. D-backs are involved in there, Seattle. So there's no guarantee that the Dodgers are going to get to 90 wins. We said the Padres have the advantage of the schedule the rest of the way, but when you're dropping the first game to Colorado, when you're getting swept by just whoever. I mean, it's been a kind of a comedy of errors. These 2 teams. Who at the beginning of the season, everyone thought were the 2 best teams or should be the 2 best teams in the National League. Neither one can get out of their own way of late.
Yeah, and they also play the Phillies, the Dodgers, by the way, in L.A., but still. All right, one more game on our marquee game. No, that's our last game on the marquee game list. So we'll go to some of the other games here in a minute. But before we do, I want to let you folks know that if you're like what you're hearing on this show or any others, make sure you check out the newsletter at bettingweeklystudios.com for weekly betting tips. Get exclusive tips in the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. All right, Chris, the Royals and the Guardians. Royals have won 3 of 4. Guardians have won 4 of 5. The National League wild card we talked about a little bit. Well, the American League wild card, even though the Mariners did have a good weekend taking 2 out of 3 from Atlanta, but still, the Royals are 2 out. Texas 1.5. We talked about them already. The Guardians 2.5. So these teams are still alive. They still got a lot to play for. Big series in Cleveland starting tonight between the Royals and the Guardians. Ryan Bergert against Slade Ciccone. What do you make of this one?
Well, we talked about Bergert last week and how I don't really trust the Royals, but I do trust Bergert in the first 5. So we're going to go with that angle again. You can play this at pretty much, a pick 'em 110, probably either way, first 5. You can also grab plus a half a run first 5, minus about 150. You can try to find that price as well. I just really like Bergert in the first 5. He gives you a solid 5 innings almost every single time. His last 8 appearances, he's given up 1-1, 2-1-1, 2-2, and 1 in earned runs. Yeah. So he's not going to go deep in the game. The Royals might not win the game, but in the first 5, he's going to be solid. So you're probably going to end up with 1 or 2 runs, and you figure Kansas City can get to Ciccone. He seems to be running out of gas. His earned runs going back his last 6 starts are 7-3-2, 6-5-2. He's 5-6 with a 4.78. Home, he's even worse, 5.37. I mentioned it last week. He went up against the Red Sox. He's pitched more innings than his whole career this season, combined. He's just running out of gas. He doesn't have it. He wasn't supposed to be a starter. Bullpen guy, they turn into a starter. So I just think he's going on fumes. I figure Kansas City can get a few runs early. After they take Burgott out, I'm not sure what's going to happen. That's why I'm just going to play this game. First 5, pretty much a pick 'em, and I'm going to take the half a run, first 5 as well. You lay a little juice. I think he gets there with a quality 5 innings, 1 or 2 earned runs. Hopefully the Royals bats can get to Ciccone, and you have yourself a winner.
By the way, Coney's given up 8 home runs in his last 25 innings. I mean, that's a home run every 3 innings. That is absolutely awful. So he was pitching well in the middle of the season, but he's been pretty awful this later portion of the season. Cardinals and Mariners. Cardinals still sort of in the hunt for the wild card. They've won 7 of 10, 4.5 out. You never know. Crazier things have happened. Seattle mentioned they won a series against the Braves over the weekend. They'll have Brian Wu on the hill. Miles Michaelis, though, for St. Louis. But I know you talk about this all the time. First home game after a long road trip. That's what the Mariners are dealing with today.
Yeah, it's the old Malinsky special. First game back for the Mariners since August 27th. They just went on the big, long East Coast road trip. They did finish out strong, though. Like you mentioned, they got 2 against the Braves. I've been fading the Mariners the whole way through. I stopped after I lost on Saturday. But I just this is one of those games where, hey, they just went from East Coast on a long trip. They're going to fly back, no day off. So it's the old Malinsky special. But the problem is you got Michaelis. And the Mariners hitters are batting .359 against him.
Oh.
And one of them, especially, Suarez, 9 for 19, 4 home runs against Michaelis. So, it's usually the guarantee autoplay Malinsky special. I probably will still have some sort of bet on St. Louis. I'm not going to endorse it as an official play, but I'm definitely going to take a shot. If I do play St. Louis, I'm definitely going to play something on Suarez. You just kind of have to. 9 for 19, 4 home runs. That's a pretty strong sample size. But I just feel like, maybe you even play, maybe you play a hitter prop with Suarez, but you still take St. Louis. It's just one of those things. You come back after being gone for 10, 11 days, especially with no day off, East to West Coast trip, far travel, Atlanta up to Seattle. But Michaelis makes it tough to put a big size bet on this, even though it is the Malinsky special.
Speaking of Suarez, he'd been in a big slump since going to Seattle, but he had 2 home runs yesterday. Josh Naylor hit 1 for them yesterday, and he'd been slumping too. So I wonder if those guys are about to come out of it. All right, we're going to go around the rest of the other 6 games here on the docket in just a minute. But just out this morning, Betting Weekly Dojo with Nigel Seeley and Neil Channing discuss how sharp bettors prep weeks in advance. To find out more, again, go to YouTube, check out Betting Weekly Dojo. And we'll be back with the second Friday episode of Betting Weekly The Edge this Friday at 5 p.m. with Dustin and Doug and I. We'll look back at our week 1 picks and look ahead to week 2 as well. All right, Chris, Nationals and Marlins. Teams, obviously neither team very good. Cade Cavalli and Jansen Junk. This game in Miami at 6:40. Anything here for you?
Yeah, I don't know. Last week, the Nats swept the Marlins up in Washington, D.C., which is a little bit surprising because they had been losers of 7 or 8 in a row. Washington's actually playing all right lately. They've got 2 more in a row. They got Cavalli going, who hasn't been too solid. His last 3 starts on the road, he's given up 14 earned runs. So not one guy you really want to back. 0-1 with a 9.45 on the road. Junk hasn't been much better of late. 18 earned runs in his last 5 starts at 5.86. Maybe you look at it over here. I'm not going to really get too involved in this game. Over would be the only lean I would have. It's over 8. 2 teams with have the ability to hit the ball, and 2 pitchers who are going in terrible directions, especially of late. Both giving up a lot of runs, a lot of earned runs. Not the best hitting teams in baseball, but familiarity from last week. They just saw each other, so maybe they do put up some runs. It would be over or nothing for me.
Cubs at the Braves, 7:15. Shota Imanaga and Bryce Elder. Cubs come off a brutal loss of a series to Washington, where they lost 2 or 3, and they blew a 3-1 lead in the 9th. giving up 5 runs yesterday. And their closer's hurt. Pete Crow Armstrong's hurt. Kyle Tucker's hurt. Been an ugly week for the Cubs. What do you make of this?
Yeah, apparently the Cubs can only win when the wind is blowing out of Wrigley.
I know, it's so ridiculous.
That's what it seems to be.
Yeah.
And don't look now, but this Elder, who was just abysmal to begin the year, couldn't get out of his own way. His last 3 starts, he's only given up 3 earned runs. He had a strong outing against the Cubs last week, 7 innings pitched, only 4 hits, 1 earned run. So in his last 3 starts, 20 innings pitched, 10 hits, only 3 earned runs, a tune of 135. So all of a sudden, Elder is pitching great. Imanaga had that tight wire act last week to hold on to the victory against the Braves. I don't know. This game seems to be like maybe screaming over to me. They just faced each other, that familiarity streak. But again, the Cubs just haven't been able to hit of late. And you mentioned all the injuries.
Yep.
So, both teams off 2-game losing streaks. I'm just going to steer clear of this game. But you just can't do the auto fade of Elder anymore. He's been one of the best pitchers of late. And the numbers prove it.
Twins Angels, 9:38 Eastern. Simeon Woods Richardson against the rookie Caden Dana.
This game is one of those ones where you just look and say, hey, it's one of those games the Angels are going to win. They're just at home. They're not playing a tough team. But Dana just doesn't give you much confidence. Last 3 games, 11 innings pitched, 9 hits, 7 earned runs, 4.91 ERA. Richardson not much better on the road, 1-2, 5.95. Maybe an over. I saw it ticked up to 9.5. That's a lot of runs, but you do get some home runs in that ballpark. The Angels are one of those feast or famine type of lineups where it's home run or nothing. So maybe you get some scoring. I don't have a play in the game. I would lean over. Just not a marquee pitching matchup by any means.
Diamondbacks Giants, 9:45 Eastern. Nabil Chrismat against Logan Webb in San Francisco. Giants, both teams still in the mix for the wild card, not completely out of it.
Yeah, well, the Giants are 4 back, Diamondbacks 4.5. So whoever wins this series, the opponent will probably be done for the playoffs.
Yep.
Arizona doesn't have much pitching. The Bats keep them in it. They're a frisky team. Funny stat in this game is that Chrismat has given up 1 home run to the Giants lineup, and it's off of Logan Webb's bat. I don't think he's going to be in the. I don't think he's going to be in the batting lineup tonight. But we all know the stats. Webb at home, very good, solid, 2.85 ERA at home. This game would be Giants a pass. The price is a little hefty for me though, so I'm rooting for the Giants. I put in a flyer on them for NL to make the World Series. It was crazy odds, like 85-1, just like the Tampa Bay one. I put the Tampa Bay one in. They end up losing 2 in a row. And on Friday afternoon, I put the Giants one in, and they lose 2 out of 3 to St. Louis. So that's how it goes sometimes. 2 teams kind of pretty much playing out the string. I don't think either one's going to make the playoffs, but I still have my Giants most wins in September, so hopefully they get hot again.
Garrett Crochet and the Red Sox are in Sacramento. Crochet coming off, I guess it had to be his worst start of the year against the Guardians of all things. Gave up 4 homers, 9 hits, 7 runs. Somehow got through 6 innings, but only had 4 strikeouts. I don't know what the hell happened there. Obviously, the guy had a 2.40 ERA coming into that start, but ugly start last time. I would think he'd bounce back against the A's.
Yeah, we were talking. He was pretty much neck and neck for Cy Young with Skubal. He almost was the favorite after Skubal gave up the grand slam against the A's a couple games back. But it seems like Crochet's, I don't know if he's tiring or what's going on, but since the trade deadline, he has really kind of fallen off. 6 starts, 37 innings pitched, 34 hits, 18 earned runs. So that's not what you want out of your ace. 4.37 ERA. And to your point, you mentioned the home runs. He's given up 8 home runs in that stretch. Pretty much the majority of his earned runs are coming up from the home run ball. If he could just limit the home runs, he'd be in a lot better shape. But he's given up a lot of home runs of late. This game, you can tell by the line, it's not a guarantee that the Red Sox are going to win this game. You A's against Crochet, you figure it'd be up in the 200 range. It's not. I've seen 175 here at Bat Rivers. I've seen a little bit lower other spots. So it's caution to the wind to bet the Red Sox. If anything, I may be leaning over here. The Red Sox bats got going finally yesterday in Arizona. Crochet's been, he's been giving up that home run ball, and there's no better place to hit home runs than this park in Sacramento. So maybe over 9. It opened 8.5, went to 9. So maybe I'd lean over here. I'm not going to lay the Red Sox the way Crochet's been pitching. And the Red Sox lineup, albeit yesterday they scored some runs, but since Roman Anthony's been out, they haven't been able to do much at all. Just some very poor performances since he's been out. And it's making me a little worried that they're going to limp into the playoffs. Hopefully they can still make it. But a lot of games to go, a lot of teams chasing them. If you can't put up any runs, you're not going to win many games, especially when you only have 3 starting pitchers. So we'll see what happens. I wouldn't lay it with Crochet, maybe lean towards the over.
By the way, the Red Sox are 13-3 since June 1st when Crochet starts. They even won that game that he gave up the 7 runs to the Guardians last week. But, he hasn't looked quite as sharp. There's no doubt about it. All right, final game, the Dodgers. We've talked about how they've been disappointing. Chase Dollander is going to go for the Rockies. I'm not sure the Dodgers have picked their starting pitcher yet. It's a 10-10 Eastern start. Anything here, or is this a stay away?
The price makes it interesting on the Rockies. Just that due to the fact that Dollander, for as bad as his stats look, 2-12, 6.77 ERA, but on the road, I know he's 0-6, but 3.64. His last 2 starts on the road, at Houston, 1 earned run, at St. Louis, 1 earned run. The Dodgers haven't been hitting that great, so I could see this being a lower scoring game, and that price on the Dodgers is totally ridiculous. So maybe you play it a different way. You get a couple runs here and there because the Rockies games enable you to take them at such ridiculous numbers, plus 1.5, plus 2, plus 2.5 runs, and you don't have to lay any juice. You get plus money just due to the fact that they've been so bad all year, especially on the road. Only 17 road wins, 34 games under 500 on the road. That sounds ridiculous, but it's a true stat. So I would look to the Rockies at maybe an alternative run line. I don't have a play on the game yet. I'd like to see who the Dodgers starter is, but I'm sure they're going to do some sort of crazy opener, which brings their bullpen into play. And we all know, as we talked about it 100 times on the show, their bullpen is terrible. So it would be Rockies or nothing. I'm going to wait till they name a starter and see what happens.
Yeah, to your point, Dollander has a 3.64 road ERA this season and a 9.98 home ERA this season. What a difference.
Yeah, so I mean, and you look at those, his last 7 starts, 5 of them happen to have been at home, but those 2 on the road, not bad against Houston and St. Louis. So tough paces to play, and he's pitched well in both of those games. Obviously, their lineup is another whole story. They don't put up any runs either. It's just the worst team pretty much we've seen in baseball in a long time, and there's nothing coming to save them. And they don't have a good farm system because if they did, they wouldn't be pitching guys who are 2-12 and 3-15. It's just, it's just a really, really bleak situation for Colorado Rockies fans.
Well, they will not break the White Sox record. At least I don't think they will. Obviously, the White Sox last year lost 121 games. As bad as the Rockies are, they will not lose 121 games this year. I think for a lot of the season we thought they would, but they've got 103 losses. So there's only 19 games left. So unless they go 1 and they need 2 wins to avoid knocking off the White Sox. I think they'll get 2 wins as bad as they are.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it won't be tonight at plus 275.
Yeah.
I mean, the Dodgers can't be that confident. They're coming back from the East Coast too. They don't have a pitcher lined up. Nobody's hitting on the team. I mean, they're not scoring many runs at all. They had a few runs. Yesterday was probably their breakout game of the trip, but they're just not hitting. They're not the same team as last year. And I really don't have much faith in them for the playoffs at all. I know they're still the favorites, but it just doesn't make sense to me when other teams are pitching better, hitting better, and have much better bullpens. So anyone holding these Dodger tickets, I'd be a little nervous. I don't see them going far in the playoffs at all.
Doesn't look like. You never know once the playoffs start, but I don't feel good about them either. And I'm rooting against them. Everybody thought they were unbeatable this year. They're far from unbeatable, is what we've found out. But we'll see what happens when we get to the playoffs. All right, that's it. That's the full slate of baseball games for this Monday. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you stick around. Betting Weekly Fast Break is coming your way in about 30 minutes. And Chris, when are you back on Betting Weekly Hardball?
I'll be back on Wednesday and Friday again. So 2 more times you get to deal with me this week.
All right, there you go. I'll see you Friday. You'll be with Doug, I think, on Wednesday. Thanks to Shane and Alex for producing today. We'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here on Betting Weekly Hardball. See you, everybody.